We're recording. So this is, I don't know, probably maybe the first of many of these podcasts that I'm hoping to do based on the Discord channel. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Chris Paines, otherwise known as the Villain. Pretty much just because of a laugh that I got ridiculed for by Preet once. Joined by one of my brown belts, Naqi. He features in pretty much most of the videos that we've done so far on the YouTube channel. Obviously, we haven't seen each other in a long time due to tears and lockdown and various other things, so that's why we haven't been able to record anything. Oh, he's disappeared.
No, I'm here.
What happened?
Nothing, I just tried to mute it, but did it take my video off as well?
Yeah, took your video off.
Am I back?
Yeah, he's back. Okay,
Yeah,
we've solved that problem. Yeah, so what we've got currently going on is a Discord channel. And on the Discord channel, it's grown at like an interesting rate, as in like it was kind of dormant for a little bit, and then I started to put up more of these videos, and then it just kind of took off. Naki's been there pretty much since the beginning as well, and he's chatting to a lot of the people who are appearing on the Discord channel and answering questions with his own take on things. Also, I know this podcast is going to be slightly biased because Naqi is my student, and so we've both kind of got a similar way of how we look at things. But hopefully, if this goes well, we can maybe get like a third person involved and start to invite other people if they're interested, because I think it'd be quite fun. Anyway, so on the Discord channel we put out, there's been numerous questions coming up about various topics, and we thought, well, this is probably the best way of actually just answering them. And so one of the first questions that came out was about mount and how we perceive mount and what we do about mountain jiu-jitsu. I probably have a more, I wouldn't say unique, but different way of approaching mount. I have just different way of approaching dominant positions anyway. So when it comes to mount, is I like the idea of, instead of having the traditional way of sitting over the hips and then trying to open up someone's armpits in drills and then doing a technique, I prefer to actually get the armpits first, climb to their armpits or pass or side control, etc., then consolidate the position by actually just moving my legs over into mount. We'll start the discussion then. What's been your kind of take on, because you've been with me since we were doing traditional mount.
Yeah.
How do you think it's changed then since we started doing it this new way? What do you think the pros and cons of it are?
Oh, big time, man. It's like you say, then we were all, obviously, it was one move, second move, and it was the coach's perspective of what would work. But obviously, when it came to rolling, it would work, and we were like, oh, damn, nothing's working. But obviously, since understanding this whole armpit thing, opening it up, and then doing your attacks, control, pressure, it's completely changed the way we've looked at our mount. We both know that because we play it completely different now. We don't play it the way we used to play it. And I think I said this on the Discord group as well. Like, if I'm in a submission only contest, I would play with arms open. But if it was points, I'd probably go to the hips position, get my points, and then get out. Because I'm not gonna. If I want to finish, the finish will be very hard. Very hard. I've got to open them up first. There's chances of bridging, and if they know how to play baby bridge, hawking, and all the mirroring stuff, it can get quite bad, really, even when you're on top, because you're never safe on top. When you know someone who's playing a good bottom position, using the baby bridge, using the Hawkins, and all them principles.
I think that's actually an interesting point, is that so the use of mount, if you just try and score points, compared to the use of mount as a finishing position. Yeah. So I don't want to say anything about the black belts who I asked this of, but we had a seminar once at our gym. We had a couple of black belts visit, and I asked the question. They said, "What do you want us to cover before the seminar?" And I said, "Well, would you mind doing a seminar on no-gi mount?" And I think it flummoxed them a bit, because they said they arrived and they were like, "There's not a lot you can do from no-gi mount." I was like, "Really?" that seems awfully strange. Like this position is kind of just then not used. Obviously, you know, in gi, it's there's loads of work on it, especially with Roger and his X chokes, etc., cross chokes. But in no gi, like I say, the Assis, and they're two, you know, very highly respected black belts. And so, what's your idea on mount? And it's like you can't. I think that then comes back to, like, you know, we're going to go into these topics a bit more later on. When it comes to actually the drilling of mount, everything kind of starts on that kind of hips position, sitting above the hips, and then the other person's framing on the bottom. Then you got to open up their framed arms, which when your hips are in the way is super difficult. Like any sort of resistance on that, it just doesn't happen.
No.
And then you
especially
get the
if they're bridging.
open.
You go on a good wrestler in mount on their hips, you won't be in mount for long. You'll be swept straight away. Big bridges.
Well, actually, this is a conversation I actually had with someone anyway, is that I don't think mount, the way it exists, would be there if it wasn't for the lack of leg locks in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Because basically, if you we'll go into the inside-outside principle a bit later on.
Yeah.
As the inside person,
we're going into that now.
yeah. As the inside person on the bottom of mount, you have it available to you to, you know, with a decent half bridge, like pull it to single leg X and just heel hook the crap out of it. Because that doesn't normally exist in jiu-jitsu, it's not considered an issue. So people will happily sit above the hips and not worry about it. The second then you come across on a decent bridge or there's a leg lock game, holding mount becomes a lot more worrying, especially sitting
on the hips.
Mount. Sitting on the hips, but sitting upright. And that's why I think then, because we started playing this more elbows closed defensive jiu-jitsu and started to question things a lot more, I think it then made more sense to go to this consolidation instead of acquisition kind of concept when it comes to mount. Is when you're actually going, instead of treating mount as a separate position where you then go hunting from, it's better to actually have what you want first, as in open up the armpits, attach the arm to the head or whatever, and then just move your leg over and like pinch onto the hips, like consolidate your weight on top. There's less chance you're going to get bridged. There's less chance you're going to get leg locked. You are on a very high mount to start off with, and there's no worry about opening up the elbows. And
other stuff like the S mounts and all that stuff then becomes very easy because their arms are already up by their ears.
Exactly.
It's not like you got to, use all that fingertip stuff that we used to learn to get the arms up.
Spiders up the arm.
Like I can't remember the last time I've done any of that.
No, it doesn't. It may work on beginners. It may work in drilling, but against people who are actually putting a decent amount of resistance in. Again, that's the main problem, is that like the first thing you ever do from any sort of mount class when you're doing drills from mount is I need to open up the arms first. And so, they're normally the person T-Rexing and stuff like that, and you've got to try and find a way of getting your elbows inside their elbows and like walking it out, or getting your hips on the inside of their elbows and like doing a squat off their hips. And it's like that seems, if that's the kind of like common thread pretty much in all no gi mount. A lot of gi mount is you've got to open the elbows first. This in gi, you can at least threaten the X choke and make them open up their own elbows, then hunt arm bars. In no gi, that's not an issue. I think the rule set of jiu-jitsu has warped mount to make it unviable, and now it just becomes ignored. It's actually, considering we went for that seminar of you can't really do no gi mount. It's probably one of my favorite positions to use. And we're in this, this is coming from a gym where we have this good defensive ability, we have good bridges, we have good wrestlers. We play heel hooks from white belt.
Day one.
We actually have a good no-gi mount game. It's like that's interesting. I'm going to look forward to, actually, because I know we did a video on this. It was one of our first videos when audio was terrible. I had no idea what we were doing with this. Re-recording like that and actually getting more in depth with it. So hopefully when we're allowed back in the gym together, we'll go do that.
Indeed.
So then, okay, that kind of brings me nicely over to a couple of other topics that were kind of asked about. Was the hierarchy of positions in jiu-jitsu and why gyms still train the way that they have always done. I think they're very similar kind of topics. So the conventional hierarchy of positions, and I think it was a Danaher speech, where when it comes to the point, it's not for Naqi. Naqi knows this is for anyone who has turned into watch any of this. He kind of gave a speech where he said that the point system in jiu-jitsu is based on fighting, as it was seen back in the day, in that you get the 2 points for the takedown because you've gone from a standing position and you put someone on their back, but they're still dangerous. They've still got their legs in the way. They can still up kick you and kick you in the legs and all this kind of stuff. You still have the most dangerous part of them in the way. So that's why takedown was only 2. 3 points for the guard pass because you've got past the most dangerous part of their body.
Yeah.
Then it was based on the hierarchy of positions, based on how much you could punch them hard in the head. Side control, you couldn't really hit them hard in the head. Knee on belly, you can. You've got like a decent base, actually start wailing on them, and then mount and rear mount, you just go to town and destroy them.
2 points and then 4 on 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the points increase because you could release your hands more.
Control.
So I can see, actually, that actually has a lot of. If we look at it in that perspective, there is a great use for that philosophy. Yeah. Because when the question is always asked, jiu-jitsu wouldn't work in a street fight, and I know this is quite funny because if anyone's unaware, like Naqi has worked as a doorman whilst being a jiu-jitsu practitioner. So
before jiu-jitsu and after. So I started.
So how did jiu-jitsu change what you do there?
Man, I mean, I played rugby at a young age, so I had a bit of a concept of grappling. Not in that sense, but and then I did a bit of boxing as well. But I started doing those when I was very young. I was 18 and I did my SIA, and then I jumped on doors straight away. So whilst I was at uni, I was doing the doors as well. Obviously, it was more getting into brawls and stuff, a different kind of attitude then. But obviously, jiu-jitsu does change your mindset because, grabbing people, lifting them, turning them is nothing, especially when you do a bit of Greco, learn a couple of clinches, and that's it. It's nothing. They've got no idea, and taking them down is like, it's nothing. When you learn to play against resisting people and people in the street, it's different. That's why, I always don't understand this, why people say this jiu-jitsu wouldn't work. I mean, it would, but grappling would work. This is another thing that we always, we've seen. It's a stigma in what we do. Jiu-jitsu is the best, wrestling's the best, lucha libre is the best. I know we were talking about this on the Discord yesterday as well. Like, grappling is grappling. Learn everything. Everything works. You just got to understand the timing, why you're using it, when to use it.
Well, I think that circles back around to how we were talking about mount. Just as rule sets make styles, as in when you have the great mold, the great blob of grappling. How to grab another human being, and then you incorporate different rules, and you get different martial arts at the other end. Like you can only grab someone in the cloth while standing upright, and then all of a sudden you get judo, and judo's warped itself when you couldn't touch the legs and stuff like that. And wrestling, like you couldn't have your back on the floor, so then there was no reason to create a guard game or keep the guard game of grappling. And jiu-jitsu's done something similar where you took out leg locks, and then you have mount, and it warped itself to the point where it becomes not even a logical position anymore. Like you can't like I say, no-gi mount doesn't exist, or it's dangerous to get it. No, it's perfectly fine. I think the more open you actually make the rule set, the more pure understanding of grappling you get. And this thing circles back around to when people say, you can't use jiu-jitsu in a street fight. Directly, of course you can. Just don't go on your back.
Yeah.
Like, look at jiu-jitsu from the point scoring perspective. Take them down, get past their legs, go through a hierarchy of control positions that allow you to release your hands and hit them in the head.
Yeah.
Like, how is that not great advice in a self-defense way? I remember you saying to me, like, you once, I'm pretty sure you threw someone to the ground and then you just knee on belly.
And he puked up in his mouth. I was like, nah, man.
Like, jiu-jitsu doesn't work.
Yeah. I was like, nah, man. I mean, when I was grabbing his back, I squeezed him that much, I could actually feel his inside stomach I could feel him squealing, and he was just about to puke then. I just tripped him over, and then knee on belly, and then he just puked there, and he just laid on the floor. I'm like, all right, then that's it.
Awful,
and then he got up and walked off.
That then took us around to, again, like, I love how this is kind of like shaped up, and these almost disparate topics kind of became, it's all one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
it's one big tree. Branches.
Why do people still train? What do you think the reason is for people still training problem solution style jiu-jitsu? And we've got our own thoughts on this, I'm sure.
I think we're on similar, wavelength on this. Like,
probably are, yeah.
Yeah, I think people don't want to get out of their, that box. They don't want to explore. They just want to learn. Their coach says it's this, and that's it. They don't want to go out and explore. And if you look at the good guys, they watch the footage and they learn off of different people. But then you've still got people who are comfortable just learning off maybe one person or just learning one style. And I think they're doing themselves a very bad disservice, because there's different ways of learning out there, and it's all scientifically proven as well. And I think how Preet teaches and how we now teach and how we learn, we're using all the active drilling and all that stuff. It really drills in where it's taking you 5-6 years to learn something or get to a level. I believe if a white belt, if we taught them from the beginning, you can comfortably get to purple belt within 3 years. I honestly think if you could teach them this system, and if they train 5-6 times a week, they can get to purple belt within 3 years easily. Whereas it could take up to 6 years for an average person to get to purple belt.
Well, you think, I came through obviously in a similar way. I've said, didn't have a coach ready. It took me 4, 5, 6 years to get to purple belt.
Yeah.
You guys have been a bit faster than that, which is upsetting for me.
But it's the system. I honestly sometimes think, like, if it wasn't the way we're doing this now, I'd still probably be just a high level blue belt or just touching purple belt. I wouldn't have progressed. You know how before all this, they used to do this thing where you used to say jiu-jitsu like gets to a level and then you get up and then you start plateauing and then you start going down. I think
we haven't had that
system. We haven't had that. It's just been progress.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so evolving, different things, and everything sticks. It's amazing. I think it's brilliant.
Well, just as a kind of a thing for the people watching, if you haven't come across it before and you just suddenly picked up this video, so how we used to do things, which is quite traditional, because I used to just visit different gyms and see what they did, because it's the only way we could figure stuff out. Compared to what we do now is, and this is actually quite funny, if someone actually asked, do the purple belt dodge the warm-up in our gym? What warm-up? we used to, yeah. We just don't. So actually I remember I was at the Keenan Globetrotters seminar back in 2014. I think someone asked him, like, what do you do for a warm-up? He was like, what warm-up? I do drill. I drill a little bit as a warm-up and then roll. That's pretty much what I got to. I was like, if he does it, I'll do it. And actually, this actually comes back from my traditional jiu-jitsu coach at one point, and about making hard warm-ups. Is you've come to me because I'm teaching you a skill. I'm not a PT.
Yeah.
I don't ever say to be as much, and that's what kind of a lot of jiu-jitsu one can be. It's like I'm a faux PT doing calisthenics or whatever.
Yeah, conditioning session.
Exactly, and especially when they come all drawn out and stuff like that. It's like, if you're serious about jiu-jitsu, you go and train outside jiu-jitsu and do a proper strength and conditioning routine, not push-ups and sit-ups at the beginning of the session, some star jumps, maybe some rolling around. Yeah, exactly. Like, you can get just as good a warm-up just by drilling. And like Preet kind of explained to us, when coaches talk it, stretch.
Yeah.
Well, you stand there, you're going to be sitting there for 3, 4, 5 minutes, sit in a squat or something like that.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine time to do some stretching. Don't have to waste your time like running around the room. Like, if you come to a class of an evening, your body's warm, you've been awake all day, you've been moving around. Then you just do some, as you build into the drills, And so when I talk about drills, this is obviously the other difference, is that usually obviously you do your warm-up or stretching, whatever, and then you do your drills, which is normally a technique is shown, which is a along the lines of, we're going to start in a position, we're going to do a setup, and then we're going to do a finish, either a sweep, submission, or pass, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do variations on that, probably. And then you do an arbitrary number for an arbitrary amount of time. You do, I don't know, 10 or 20 in 5 minutes, or you have 2 minutes each and swap over. It's all very regimented. And we look at it from an external perspective. None of that makes sense. And so the way we kind of do things different when I'm teaching class in the gym is I'll give like an end product of what we're trying to hunt for. Like, this is what we want at the end of this. And we look at the fine details of the end, because that's normally where, you know, a lot of variation, a lot of the details kind of exist. Then everything before that is variation. And so we then go through different levels of trying to get to that end point, either working backwards from it, depending on what it is, or giving like a more, depending on the skill level of the people doing it, more free reign to actually then get to that position anyway. And you change, it makes the other person, the dummy, more of a useful part of this, because usually, like, they're just there as a grappling dummy. There's no feedback off, and they're just
zombies.
Donate their body for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We have, like, you know, can you give me more resistance, less resistance?
Yeah.
Can you do this? Can you do that? Just to give them more variation.
Comp mode. We have comp mode as well.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes when you get more comfortable, then it becomes more like, you know, competition speed, and you try and get the same outcome. And I think it's an important thing to say at the beginning of every drill is, like, this isn't sparring, it's drilling. There is a designated winner already.
But every session you'll see someone going balls to the wall. But it takes time, because we've done it the other way previously, but now we have adapted to, like, just chilling out and now doing it properly, active drilling.
Yeah. I think as well, it's I think it's interesting as well to when you're on the bottom, is to actually then spend, like, again, I don't like the idea of doing it for numbers, like you have to do 10, 5, whatever, and then swap over. Do it once, but do it once, like, to a point where you've explored, like, especially in the detail section at the beginning or something, explore the hell out of it, and really, from the person on the bottom, give a lot of feedback and ask for things to be changed. Like, prime examples, like, say if you were in the bottom of an armbar, don't just have the armbar done to you. Say, oh, could you, like, just move your hips a bit closer? Can you move them a bit further away? Can you squeeze your knees or something? Can you just push my face this way? Because then you're like, and this is a good example of this, like, my side control pressure is that I've never felt my own side control pressure. No one ever does. No one feels their own crossface. The only way you actually develop your own pressure and crossface and the horrible things you do to a human being is by feeling it off someone else. You feel it against your jaw and you think, God, that sucks. Oh, I'll do it to someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
How many times have I said to you, oh, yeah, I'm using this, mate?
Exactly. And so I think that's an important part you can actually do in drilling, is saying that, you know, when you're getting when you're getting crushed or whatever in drills, and can, like, give feedback. Say, oh, well, no, actually that hurts more if you do it this way. But then you can feed back into your own, like, feedback loop of going, right, I know what that feels like now. I'll do that to someone else when it actually comes to training. And so why do people then stick to the conventional way of doing it? I think it's because, and this is interesting. So
go on. What do you think?
When it comes to, like, grilled chicken chicken is Preet's interpretation of loads of different coaches and things he's seen, and he's melded it all together.
Yeah.
We have people from those, we can train with people from those gyms, and they don't do the same thing. And so I think it's a case of people teach as they were taught, because they think that if I teach you as I was taught, maybe you will become me eventually.
Yeah.
You know, I was speaking to Charles Harriott about this kind of stuff. You could say, because obviously he's been to a lot of gyms. You go to some gyms where the students are all carbon copies of the coach.
Yeah.
Like, the coach is, like, super, like, well respected, high level or whatever.
Same game.
Yeah, they do the exact same game.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, personality and physicality be damned. You become a carbon copy of that person.
Yeah.
And it makes sense in a way, like, you can make, if you are super successful and you can play a bit of devil's advocate, like imprint your exact game onto a person that they can do exactly the same as you do. There's that, in theory, if you make a clone, that person should be just as successful. And when
In
that
theory.
happens,
Yeah,
like you have guys
sometimes,
from
yeah.
these like high level gyms who are clones of their coach who
Yeah.
move the exact same way and they become super successful just like their coach was.
Yeah.
But does that help jiu-jitsu in the long run? Probably not.
I don't think so.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
I think time will tell, I think, because this is still new, at the end of the day.
I don't think there's a black and white answer to it. I think you can't just say, you can't be a carbon copy because it's bad.
Yeah.
Why? They're successful. I think it does limit where jiu-jitsu can go a little bit when you can have this kind of group think, getting everyone together and going, right, let's brainstorm why this isn't working.
Yes.
Develop new shit. But also I think it's beneficial when you actually have these carbon copy guys who just go out there and just go bang and win. And it's like, cool. That's not a bad thing. I think it just then depends on the individual. Like, if you are into that, go to that kind of gym. Like, just don't limit yourself. Like, how you best you learn. There are other ways of learning jiu-jitsu. We'll come back to that. I think once some people on the Discord and YouTube actually watch this, maybe we'll get some more questions on it.
More questions, yeah.
So next question is a bit more focused. There's a question about K-guard and the inside-outside of guards and the list of them. Yeah. So for those who haven't come across this idea before, I did a video recently. Inside-outside is a principle of, I know Lachlan Giles has got a video out as well about it. Various other people have spoken about it. Dan Hur's guys speak about it, and pretty much plays leg locks. The idea of inside-outside is in any kind of face-to-face situation, like guard, mount, etc. There's an inside person, and outside person. And so the inside person is the person in between the other person's legs. So like if if I'm in closed guard, for example, I'm the outside person because my legs are around, say, Naqi. He is the inside person. And that then can dictate what submissions you have available to you. It's not black and white. There are obviously variables. But by and large, it's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
So as the outside-based person in closed guard, I can do upper body submissions. Like triangles, arm bars are a lot easier. Naqi, as the inside person, can leg lock the shit out. We'll flip that round to butterfly. I'm now the inside person with my legs in between Naki's thighs. He's the outside person. Quite difficult for him to leg lock me at this point.
Yeah.
But if he was to give me access to the back of his knees, I could probably leg lock him.
Yeah.
There's a video, if anyone is interested, it's up on the YouTube channel. It explains a little bit more, and we'll definitely do a demonstration video when we get back in the gym. So the question was then about K-guard and a list of inside-outside guards. So we'll start off with outside-based guards. What do you perceive? I know we spoke about closed guard just. What else do you think could you class as an outside-based guard?
Outside-based guard. De La Riva.
De La Riva's a big one. Yeah. But again, like there's obviously you got the terror lock, Terror's ankle lock.
Yeah, that's a grey area.
Won with that, didn't he?
Yeah, against the boogeyman.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So again, there's always outlying techniques.
Yeah.
But De La Riva's really good for upper body submissions. I think that's what it's predominantly used for. You can get a lot of plateau, triangle kind of stuff off De La Riva. Single leg X, definitely inside because it's just actually standing upright.
Yeah.
X inside.
Inside. Yeah.
What else? Okay, so kind of circling back around then, there's K guard. And looking at some of the stuff from Lachlan Giles, especially when he does like the when someone's seated. I think I've been playing K guard for maybe about 10 years, but unknowingly.
We used to call him Montes. Can you remember?
No, not even that. Like, so there's the Lachlan Giles video where he has his foot like slightly on the guy's hip and he inverts a little bit.
Yeah.
Gets his knee to the floor just on the inside of his, and then swings around and gets the leg lock. There's a book I had probably about 11 years ago by Greg Jackson, the Jackson MMA coach. I think it was in that book where he does like a K guard entry from closed guard into a leg lock, into a knee bar. I think there's videos of me at competitions like 9-10 years ago using that. I think I broke some dude's knee with it.
Yeah, you'll have to find it. You'll have to find it.
Yeah, exactly. But I have to, if I can find the book or excerpt from it, I'll take a picture
of it. You know, the K guard thing. If from close guard, the other guy uses the Hibiero, Shanji, when he uses it to come out, and then he uses it as a sweep.
Yeah, like the Shanji sweep. Yeah,
yeah.
I think
similar concept.
What makes K guard then an interesting thing for inside-outside principle is I would have classed that in the grey area, especially this close guard, this kind of like low one where you invert when they're quite low.
It's a hybrid we should call it. That you think hybrid guard?
I think when you start inverting, I think the rules start to go out the window a little bit, not completely, but again, it's like you start from the outside, but then he does stick his knee on the inside.
Yeah,
that's the important part, and so it becomes an inside guard at that point on the inversion. That closed guard is an outside base guard. It's good for body submissions, but it really does become a good inside guard when you do that inversion and get your knee down, start going K guard. But again, it's the inside outside problem. Yeah. So I think it still follows the rule of inside outside. Yeah. Even though your foot starts on the outside, your knee does go on the inside before the leg lock happens.
Yes.
Just like an inside based guard. Half guard I think is the interesting one. And there's a video, I've got it set to scheduled to release, I think, soon after this one airs, on why I love half guard, because it's both. But I'll save that for that video. And you have to deal with my half guard all the time anyway. So
I love it.
That's what makes us like, because obviously, me and Naqi spar, we used to.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's kind of most of my half guard game, understanding of half guards, basically from trying to leg lock you.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, it becomes very interesting because most people don't focus on that far leg. And so they just get leg locked on it all the time. It's only from people who play a decent amount of leg locks. And so like half guard becomes super interesting because like when Charles kind of talks about the pummeling to make it force the bottom person to become a full outside guard. Yeah. And it's also very interesting, like watching people like Ross Nichols and Macklin or whatever, who then pummel their outside leg from the bottom on the inside to make it a full inside guard. Yeah, I think half guard's really. Obviously Eddie put a lot of focus on it when it came to lockdown and that kind of aspect of half guard. I think a lot can be said about half guard and its usefulness. And again, it's kind of circles back around to the beginning, like jiu-jitsu.
Massive.
Yeah. Oh, completely. I think this comes back to again like the initial thing that we said about rules limiting progress. Yeah. Half guard always had this in it, but in traditional non-leg locking based jiu-jitsu, it's just this terrible triangled position from the bottom where you just hook your leg behind your knee, and it's almost like not used to its full extent. It's just dogfight, and that's all you got. Old school sweep, dogfight, done. Second, start to bring leg locks into it. My God, a half guard is interesting.
Yeah, it's like knee down, knee up, standing. Everything changes with wherever you put your foot.
Oh, it's so cool, so cool. I love I find that whole subject, especially when looking at the inside, outside, and the pocket and various other things. I think half guard's super.
Switching to half butterfly from half guard is easy as well. Or you only need a little bit of a gap, and you've gone from
exactly
hybrid guard to a completely inside guard, becoming a dominant leg lock.
Exactly. I think it's very, very.
I mean, we both love half butterfly. We both love it, so we both know how to play each other's games.
Well, actually, there's something I've been pondering a lot recently. Is I know I used to talk about it long ago, but changing the perspective of half guard, and this is where I think I started to give you a bit more misery. Is like half guard. If you are south of the other person's hips, half guard is a guard for the person on top. The second you can get in front of the bottom knee and change your perspective, half guard becomes a side control of their leg court. Yeah. And you can change really your perspective on how you then approach top half guards, and from a position where I need to pass to a position where I can do side control stuff on you.
Yes.
And you're stuck.
True.
Like you can't dogfight me, you can't leg lock me easily. As long as I keep my unattached leg, kind of the knee kind of closed, so you can't deep half me and stuff like that. It suddenly becomes, instead of I have to defend, I have to get out of this, it suddenly becomes I can actually attack quite aggressively. I don't have to do a video on that when I get back in the gym. Question we were asked then is about Baby Bridge, and I know you use Baby Bridge a lot. You've done a lot of work with Alex with it. The gentleman was saying about how he gets cross-faced and like pretzeled with his ankles from Baby Bridge. What do you recommend?
Man, Baby Bridge, it's like I don't know how to best describe it. It's even if you need to understand the side control bottom stuff that we play, the magic shoulder and stuff, and how the leg supports the same side shoulder, so we don't get flattened. That's why we always talking don't be flat, and how the legs support your shoulders. And if you can understand that, the Baby Bridge will get easy to understand, because you'll understand the full extension of your body, where you're actually running into them to an extent, because your hips are off the floor, you're completely arched, and they have to put pressure into you, which means then you can use their momentum to obviously sweep them over or then start wrestling. And it's like we were discussing in Discord yesterday about the whole wrestling thing, and I was saying, learn wrestling, learn how to bridge properly, learn the clinches, learn the pummeling, and you will understand grappling, being on the inside.
From what I felt playing Baby Bridge is that the connection's chest to chest, and that's kind of what brings the head out of the picture for like cross-faces and stuff. And so the reach, maybe it's just because of my height.
When was the last time me or you cross-faced each other? With pre-COVID, when was the last time? I can't remember, because it's so hard to cross-face each other. Like, we're always Baby Bridge.
When it goes chest to chest, it's really difficult to try and find it. But also, I remember Masagao saying this 3 years ago. It's like, it's such a dumb idea that if you don't want someone to cross-face you, just put your head back on the floor. I know Pre said it as well. Like, the reason your head should be off the floor to look at the other person, or for if you need to do something, so just put your head on the goddamn floor. Push your head into the floor. So I think maybe it's a weight positioning problem that this getting cross-faced and folded from Baby Bridge is that instead of having your weight centered into your midsection with hips and ass on the floor, or they're all going to be on the floor, but I mean that's where your weight is. Try and focus it so it's in your ankles and shoulders, your feet and your shoulder, your head.
Head.
Exactly. Make the up, make it so it's this part up. It's connecting to the floor, and that's driving in. I think if you did that, it'd be quite difficult to actually then.
Yeah, it's a side bridge, like wrestlers do all the time. That side bridge.
I think it'd be very hard to try and get any sort of purchase. But also, this is one of the videos I actually want to do when we get back. Is shrimping. Like I've spent so long working on this idea, and it features Baby Bridge, and I think when we get that video out, I think we might solve that issue a bit more. Like the concept of shrimping. Again, it's one of those, it's just something featured in the warm up, and it's occasionally framed from side control, and then you kind of don't really use shrimping past this little bubble of use. I think shrimping's a huge subject. I think done right, I think could be massive. So I'm looking forward to doing that video when we get back in. Last question then was asked specifically of you.
Oh, okay.
Do you use the Cradle?
Yeah, we use the Cradle. Obviously, because especially I'm always looking for it when you're playing running, man, because you need to keep them still. When you give the bottom guy movement, like we're currently, pre-COVID, we started working on attacks, being on top. So we've gone away from now the defense, because we've done the defense. Now we're focusing on the attacks. And what we found is that you got to control the hips. If you don't control the hips, they're going to be running around and just running man, talking turtle. They'll just be Baby Bridging away, a turtle guard, standing up, walking away from you. Because we used to do it, to each other. And then we thought, okay, controlling the hips. The idea is control the hips. So now we work on pressuring the hips a lot. And Cradle is a good example, because I can control the upper part of the body and the lower part of the body.
Well, this is actually something that, last time I saw Preet in September in the Amsterdam camp at 10th Planet, is he said about the angle of the top leg. If you can fold that a bit further down, so if having it upright, open hips, actually bring your knee a bit further down, kills the Cradle dead.
Yeah, kills it. like it's very hard to do now since we've adapted to the new running, man. It's very hard to get the cradle, but if I get it, I'm keeping it because I can hold you still. You know what I mean? I'm looking for it, but it's not because if you really start hunting, then obviously the pressure's off. Then I'm giving the bottom guy what they want, space, and they're just moving, running around.
I think one of the interesting things as well about Cradle, and you have cradled me in the past when I wasn't putting my knee in the right place, like time or whatever.
Yeah.
Is as long as my elbows are kind of closed, unless you try and drive my knee through my eye socket.
Yeah, there's nothing else really. It's just control.
Nothing else is going to happen to me. I'm being controlled. Yeah. Okay. It's boring.
It's that space. The space is still covered, really, because I'm
Magic
only around
shoulder
your head.
kills Cradle a lot as well.
Yes, magic shoulder.
And like magic shoulder / the whatever you want to call it, about shoulder tracking, putting the middle of the shoulder in the sternum. I think that kills Cradle's dead as well. Yeah. I think it's definitely something that. It's
all hawking, baby bridge, different aspects of it.
I think Aaron Milan put it quite well. He said that this defensive jiu-jitsu, obviously, all high-level guys play it. You can't get to black belt without actually doing this defensive jiu-jitsu. All the stuff that Preet kind of talks about was based on what high-level guys would do it.
Yeah.
And so he said that, people play this defensive jiu-jitsu, and this was before, like, when Aaron and Preet started really getting to know each other. And he said that, you need to move people, catch them in transition, maybe inflict pain. Cradle is one of those aspects. You're not going to get anything from a cradle.
No.
But hopefully you make them hurt enough that they want to move aggressively out of it and you catch them in the transition.
I mean, in a long fight, it could be used as a tactic to slow the person down, drain him out a bit, and then... Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But it's definitely got a space. It's not like...
Especially when we've played, I don't think you've ever messed me up with it.
No.
It's not been something that's forced me to think...
I'm going to get submitted.
I'm in a problem here. Maybe like if it's a timed fight and there's points and stuff, then maybe, yeah. Like we're going to have to be a lot sharper with using magic shoulder and the knee in the right place. But from a war of attrition kind of fight that we're kind of used to, like it's never threatened.
I mean, baby bridge and hawking kills it. Like it's so hard. Running man.
Cradle can be easily killed. There's so many little things that tear apart. I think that's all the mandatory subjects covered. Done quite well.
Yeah, I know. How long have we been on for?
I don't know, man. It's coming to like 45 minutes, maybe. I know, right? It's really cool. What was I going to say? Anyone who's watched this video and has any questions on anything we've kind of spoken about, my goal is to do this with Naqi weekly.
Yeah, man.
Not that we've got anything to do, is it, Naqi?
I know, yeah.
So if there's anything from this that people have watched and gone, damn, I want to know more about that, or there's just even just a random subject that people want to talk about.
Questions, anything.
Definitely ask others. We'll do more of these. And my intention is if there's other people who want to jump in, other coaches, and I'm going to try and get hold of Josh McKinney. I think he's got a very cool kind of similar outlook on jiu-jitsu as we have. Yeah. Charles as well. I'd love to get Charles featured on this, so I'll see if we can arrange it for next week. Hopefully ask us more questions, and then we'll redo or do more of these on a weekly basis. Thank you, Naqi. Thank you for an hour of your evening.
No problem, man.
Hopefully,
my pleasure.
Hopefully, if things improve, we'll roll again soon.
Soon, hopefully. Come on, Boris.
Yeah, don't say that. I don't feel optimistic all of a sudden. Right, evening, Naq.
Cool. See you in a
Take
bit.
care, dude.
And you.